those who are experienced travelers, stay in hotels, motels, and other similar establishments, one piece of advice that they might give to you is to never, never, ever lay down on top of the comforter that's on the bed. Hi, this Spirit-filled 10-minute Torah, day 4 of the Torah portion, Metzora, the afflicted one, and we're now in Leviticus, or yikrah, chapter 15. Let's begin with verse 1 and read a bit here. Yahweh spoke to Moshe and to Aaron, saying, speak to the children of Israel and say to them, when any man has a discharge from his flesh, his discharge is unclean. And that's his uncleanness in regard to his discharge, whether his flesh runs with his discharge or his flesh is stopped up by his discharge, it is his uncleanness. Any bed becomes unclean on which he who has the discharge lies, and any object on which he sits becomes unclean. And anyone who touches his bed has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be clean and unclean until evening. He who sits on any object on which he has the discharge sat has to wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. And he who touches the flesh of him who has the discharge has to wash his garments, shall bathe in water and shall be unclean until evening. And when he who has the discharge spits on him who is clean, then he shall wash his garments and shall bathe in water and be unclean until evening. Yes, the Torah addresses bodily discharge, body fluids, body contaminations. And while our first response is, ooh, and it's understandable, and the question might be asked, why does the Torah even go here? Well, the answer is because people live here. Unfortunately, folks will prove themselves to be unclean. We might use a different word. We might just say nasty. People are people, and they will condition themselves by choice and by experience and by sometimes upbringing to live in less than desired conditions and in less than hygienic presentations. Any venture into public and you will see, unfortunately. We're talking about millions of people traveling together in a caravan in the wilderness, away from running water and available sanitation devices. There are no public toilets here, no porta potties, not even that. The instructions has been, if you have to relieve yourself, take your shovel, go outside the camp, take care of things, and cover behind yourself. That's good advice. That's life-saving counsel, in that outside of that practice, you're going to have rampant disease in the camp. And the Torah here is telling us, while addressing the individual, the larger focus is on the community, which brings us then to an understanding of why this might be something to apply to us. Not only is the Torah encouraging cleanliness, washing the body, washing your clothes, understanding that if you have a physical condition that is contaminating or is problematic, we'll just leave it at that, then you need to take care of things, and you need to make sure that you're not defiling those that are around you, contaminating those that are around you, and causing a lack of sanitation, a lack of sanitary conditions around yourself. We encourage our children, wash your hands. I was just outside. Well, you've been outside, wash your hands. Public restrooms, wash your hands. And then mom's going to get out the the liquid and do the hand sanitizer thing on top of that. Nothing wrong with that. We live in a very germ-infested world. Yah is telling us as a community, be clean. There's further understanding here. The basic suggestion and information, the parenthetical circumstance that we're dealing with here is by and large marital relations. Matter of fact, there's a chiastic structure that starts here in verse 1 and 2 and goes through much of this. And it talks about, first of all, discharges unclean, abnormal male discharge, normal male discharge. The center part is marital relations. And then it's the reverse of that, where we see then that we talk about normal female discharge, abnormal female discharge, and then the conclusion is be separate from uncleanness. So in the middle of the chiastic structure is marital relations. Whereas we've been talking about the Metzora who has Sarat previously, this is a skin condition. Everybody can see it. It's obvious. You deal with it. Here we're talking about things that are secret. So what one deals with privately, we might say, well, it's private, and I would rather not discuss it. And I understand that there are just certain things and certain issues that people have. They don't wear it on their sleeve. Here, Yah is saying to us that even though that which you are dealing with privately, it affects you, it can and very well may affect those that are around you. You must make sure that you operate in cleanness. Don't be defiling of people unnecessarily, especially when they may not be aware of what's just taken place. So if you have a private issue and you need to have it taken care of, or you need to deal with it, and here we're not talking just about a body fluid. We're talking about issues that are within your heart, your mind, your spirit, problems that you're dealing with where you're struggling to overcome or to properly manage in your life. These things potentially have the ability to defile those that are around you, especially when they shape your attitude, your demeanor. People look at you and say, what's wrong with you? All right, you don't seem to be yourself. Well, if you're struggling at that moment, at that period of time, it may be that you realize, okay, I'm not influencing correctly today, and I need to change my demeanor. I can't allow where I'm at privately to bring other people down that are around me. And that's not just to say, smile and pretend and grin and bear it and go home and suffer. If you need help, look for help. If you need prayer support, you need encouragement, you need godly counsel, get what you need, but take care of your things. Now, there is another application I want to make here before we go today. I was wisely told, it was good advice, before Laura and I got married, decades and decades ago. I was told by the pastor who performed our wedding ceremony, a piece of advice. He said, those things that are private and personal between you and Laura, keep them between you and Laura. Don't publicly share what's private between you, because it cheapens your intimacy and your personal life. Keep that between you two, because that's where it belongs. The same thing, when we're talking about marital relations here, we're talking about also a relevance to, an analogy of the body of Messiah as the bride of the bridegroom, Yeshua. If Yeshua is sharing things with you personally, and it's between you and Yeshua, every revelation, every insight, every understanding that you gain doesn't necessarily deserve a public audience. Some things Yeshua may be intended just to be between you two. Consider that. and think on that. And I'll see you again tomorrow. Until then, shalom.